The woman is chronically frustrated and also in this position of starting to make up excuses for him, looking for explanations for why he can't show up and meet these needs that she has. And it could also make her start to question herself and her needs. Am I asking too much? Am I just too much? Am I high maintenance? Just trying to figure out what the problem is here. Welcome to True Northing Podcast.
We've been having a great chat this last week.
We have.
Yeah. So Kristen and I will talk on the phone about just anything that's present up for us personally or a new concept that we're exploring. And we'll chat on the phone or we'll send each other voice notes, just depending on where we're at in our lives. And so we were sending a series of voice notes this week on the topic of capacity, emotional capacity. Also, I think we should touch on overfunctioning because I think those go together, capacity, overfunctioning. And I think it's great that we can hop on after our voice note exchange and just have a real conversation and invite our listeners into this discovery and process and insights and all of that we have and why it's meaningful.
Allie came across a reel, and I don't remember her name, but we'll give her credit in the show notes below. And the reel talks about men having low emotional capacity. Correct me if I'm getting it wrong, Allie. Low emotional capacity, and then some men who have high emotional capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And when a woman is in relationship with a man who has low emotional capacity, she might experience him as failing to follow through on really basic things. He's somebody who might say, I want to do that. I want to do this for you. I want to show up in that way. I want to take care of that. Let me do it. And expresses this desire to meet her needs, but then doesn't. He
Mm-hmm.
can't, or he won't, for whatever reason. And so then the woman is chronically frustrated and also in this position of starting to make up excuses for him, looking for explanations for why he can't show up and meet these needs that she has. And it could also make her start to question herself and her needs. Am I asking too much? Am I just too much? Am I high maintenance? Just trying to figure out what the problem is here. Why is it that when I ask for something or I have a need, it doesn't get met?
Mm-hmm.
And another piece that stood out is that the low capacity man gets easily overwhelmed by the needs of the relationship or the needs of his partner. And so he could send that message as well, overtly or covertly, the message of, why are you asking this of me? This is ridiculous. Other women don't ask these things of their partners. He can get really frazzled, overwhelmed, defensive, push back, come up with all kinds of excuses why he's not doing something. And then there's the high capacity man who approaches those same requests or needs from his partner with ease. Like it's no big deal. These are just basic asks. He shows up on time. If she brings something to his attention or expresses a frustration, he might respond with, "Thank you for telling me." He
Mhm.
says things like, "I'll take care of it," and then he does. He's reliable, he shows up. So there's a stark contrast there.
Mhm.
And a piece I really loved that I wanna highlight that she said is that for women to go into that mode of trying to justify his inability to show up, looking for excuses as to why, oh, he's stressed at work or he's got things going on at home, or maybe I am asking too much. Maybe I need to adjust myself and my needs. That's a mistake. And that really these are often, typically, these are really basic foundational things that she should be able to expect in relationship.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, what I loved what she had said, which resonated, is like the man could be very well intentioned. He could want to do those things. He could really care. But if he doesn't have the capacity, the needs are always going to feel like overwhelm. His partner's needs are always going to feel overwhelming to him. They're going to feel like too much versus the man with higher capacity. It's like, oh, tell me more. I'm curious. It's almost like he has space in his psyche for another person's needs versus a low capacity man is likely barely getting his own needs met or never experienced having his needs met. And right, for the woman in relationship with a low capacity man, it's like, oh, I I can't have needs with this person. My needs are a burden and I'm constantly being told that they can't show up for me or um, they just get really overwhelmed when I ask for basic things versus someone with more capacity. It's like I just hear the phrase, I got it. I got you. I got this. And she's not a burden. And so the way that a woman will feel about herself and her needs potentially could vary greatly depending on the kind of man she's with and the capacity that he has.
And it doesn't mean he doesn't love her
Mhm,
and really want to make it work and meet her needs.
mhm,
And so removing that piece that feels so personal to her,
mm,
like
mhm.
why won't he show up in this way? Why is he choosing not to follow through?
Right. What does that mean about me? Like she makes
Yeah.
it about her and her true needs or wishes or desires that she starts to become disconnected from them because the person next to her can't acknowledge them or meet them or understand them.
Because sometimes it sounds so basic and simple,
Mhm,
like take the trash out on Tuesdays
mhm,
or give me a hug when you walk in the door or
mhm,
something like that. So it's like, why won't he do this basic thing? This is so easy. This is so simple. I've laid it out. I've expressed what I wanted and he's not doing it.
mhm. Text
Clearly
me
he
when
doesn't
you'll be
care.
late or, any of the millions of simple, basic things that, yeah, may help the woman or partner feel safe and cared for and connected to.
And I can't remember if she spoke to the ability to develop that capacity. Well, maybe
Right.
first she didn't. Okay, so I want to talk about that the potential to develop the capacity,
Mhm,
but also maybe how this happens,
mhm.
how men get stunted and fail to develop a high capacity. Did you know that the number one predictor of your health and longevity is the quality of your relationships? If you've been feeling stuck in repeating patterns or wondering why certain dynamics keep showing up, today's sponsor might have the clarity you've been looking for. Interconnected Love offers Unlock Your Relationship Roadmap, an online course designed to help you uncover the link between childhood wounding and the personality traits and behaviors that often create tension in relationships. The course walks you through the deeper why behind patterns and gives you a clear path toward healing. And most people complete the course in 2 to 3 hours. If you're ready to strengthen your relationships from the inside out, visit interconnectedlove.com to learn more.
Yeah, I think that I'm reflecting on some of our previous episodes on the mother wound in men. That wasn't the title of it, but yeah, raising healthy boys and healthy men, and just how we learned how much less emotional attunement boys get. As a whole, as a culture, as a society, there is an issue with boys getting the emotional connection and development that they need to grow up into emotionally mature men who have the capacity for emotional women.
Right. So, having a primary parent who is themselves stunted emotionally, they're not maybe attuned to his needs as a kid. They're not emotionally available. Maybe they don't talk about feelings. They don't acknowledge feelings. They rush to avoid discomfort or
Mhm.
numb or distract.
What we talked about this week also was like maybe the parent who's really good at doing practical things, really good at making the lunches or, getting to all the activities or being able to handle work or all the daily tasks but isn't available emotionally. And that's one way it can look. Of course, there are parents that are totally checked out and totally neglectful of the inner world and emotional world of a child. But it can also present as a seemingly healthy parent or caregiver to this boy, but is missing the emotional bandwidth or even the recognition of his emotional needs.
Sometimes the man is appears very high functioning in other areas of life, like
Mhm,
maybe at work.
mhm.
Maybe he at work he has no problem showing up on time for meetings and giving 110% and checking things off the list and completing the task that his boss asked him to complete on time. But for some reason, when he comes home to the relationship, in the most intimate relationship with his partner, he can't bring that same level of capacity. And one thing we talked about the difference there is that at work, typically his boss or his work environment doesn't require emotional intimacy from him.
Mhm,
Where at home in partnership, your relationship demands emotional intimacy. And
mhm.
so something about that, well, what I'm thinking of right now is okay, what I wanted to say is causes him to avoid or disconnect or dissociate from the partner's needs. Something about that feels threatening or scary subconsciously, perhaps.
Mhm.
And so he kind of shuts himself off to the needs of the partner.
Right. It's like, what do you mean emotional emotional intimacy? That is scary. I don't know that world. Work is a whole lot safer for me,
Yeah.
or whatever other life demands are a whole lot safer for me to give my time and energy and attention to because I'm not developed in this area. This area is scary, threatening to my sense of well being and safety. Maybe because I was injured, maybe because I never, in this state, maybe because I never received the care and love. Maybe it's just simply so foreign that I don't even understand what's being asked of me. And so I need to shut it down.
So when his boss asks him to show up on time, it's no problem.
Uh-huh.
But when his wife asks him to show up on time, it's a problem
Uh-huh.
because the wife is the primary attachment,
Uh-huh.
which means she's the person most capable of injuring him.
Yeah, and there's so many different scenarios as well that could lead to this, like including maybe not having healthy modeling from the parents, or maybe mom was, maybe her emotional state took over. There was no containment. And so it's really scary to see a woman have emotional needs. Um, and so, yeah, the wife is the primary attachment figure and is bringing up all the childhood needs that when unmet that a boss could never. And in that is the potential for healing. Like he can get to experience a part of himself that he never was able to.
Real authentic connection,
Yeah,
intimacy.
intimacy. Intimacy.
Mhm.
Yeah. And intimacy is something that you need to slow down for, something that you have to be vulnerable for. It's like into the other you see, but into yourself you see as well. And so it's not only the things in the other person that you're uncomfortable witnessing, it's what that's bringing up within you and how uncomfortable that person is with whatever they're feeling within themselves from what the other
Wow.
person's feeling.
So to slow down, to really open yourself up for connection means you have to slow down and allow yourself to be seen by the other person, which means you will be forced to also meet yourself and see yourself and maybe acknowledge parts of yourself that you've never acknowledged before.
That are painful, that are scary, that are unfamiliar, that have needs, that got lost along the way, that maybe were injured. It's revisiting pain, really. And so I think emotional capacity is capacity to, it's like frustration tolerance, it's pain tolerance, discomfort tolerance. That is emotional capacity.
Oh, yeah. Being comfortable with discomfort, with pain.
And it takes a certain amount of strength to feel pain and to know it takes a lot of strength to feel pain and to be present with the pain. And that is a skill that not a ton of people have right now. And because there is a lot of pain and the ability to know that you can feel pain and that pain can change, and that we can feel loss and we can feel changed by discomfort or pain, but that we don't have to be stuck in it. Because I think a lot of people fear being stuck in pain. And so they're always running from it, always numbing it in a million different ways. And maybe there's not enough people that have been alchemized through the experience of pain, intolerance of discomfort, and how that can expand themselves into a new way of being that's beyond what they ever knew, that's more connected to themselves and others than ever before.
So the default is simply to run away from the pain. Any kind of pain or discomfort, we turn away from it. But we're talking about this low capacity man
Hmm.
has learned, been conditioned to turn away and avoid discomfort.
Yeah. And maybe there's certain kinds of pain that they've normalized, maybe like, work pains or overworking pains or, something within that is more safe and familiar. But emotional pain is really scary to people. And I would say, especially men, because especially men are not given the same emotional nurturance as women are in their formative developmental years.
And the space to feel their feelings. I think about boys who are raised, I mean, yeah, we're talking about a lack of attunement and maybe emotional connection to the parent, but also not having the space and opportunity to feel their feelings,
Mhm,
very normal feelings as a kid, frustration, sadness, crying from physical pain, like not being allowed to feel their feelings and move through them, ride the wave of their feelings. Like, oh yeah, you're having a big feeling. That seemed really painful. And to be witnessed in it and to be given the space to just move through it without being rescued or without the parent immediately swooping them up and shushing them and don't cry and, oh, look over here at that pretty thing over there, right? Not giving them the space to just be with their feelings creates a man or person in any sense who cannot tolerate discomfort, cannot tolerate their feelings. They have no capacity for it.
mhm,
And you cannot avoid uncomfortable feelings in intimate partnership. Your partner will bring them forward. It naturally happens. We are our most vulnerable in real intimacy with a partner.
mhm,
And that means you have to be, if you're going to meet real intimacy and allow yourself to really, truly connect, you have to be open to feeling possible discomfort, which means you have to be understanding and trusting that that discomfort that may come up will not kill you. It will not swallow you whole. You will survive it. You can handle it. You can move through it.
mhm,
Whatever comes, that is the high capacity person.
mhm, mhm,
They have the capacity to meet discomfort, somebody else's needs, a request, a frustration. They can hold it. It's not a big deal.
mhm, mhm. I think of the common complaint of male partners or husbands being like, she's so critical, or I just want her to be happy, or can't you just be grateful, or, this feeling of need to have a woman or a partner that's only positive,
Right.
only speaks in a nice tone, only is happy for whatever she gets, because anything else is a reminder of the different emotional spectrum that they weren't allowed to experience, or maybe they witnessed um, somebody who was out of control, or maybe they had no emotional attunement whatsoever. Um, but I think of like high capacity and what it means to welcome the range of emotional experiences is like the seasons too. Is like, some people only want good weather, right? But it's like, can we appreciate how the rain brings the beautiful grasses, or, how the storms we can be inside and cozy, like the appreciation for all variations of nature, or the expression of life itself. Really, it's the capacity for life itself. It's not just the emotions. It's like you're either in it and you're open and you're experiencing and you're wondering and you're curious about life, or you're like, it's got to be good, or I can't be here, or it's too painful, or I need to like zone out one way or the other through sex, food, drugs, tuning out on television, going into work, whatever's familiar and keeps me safe enough, versus capacity as capacity for the range and experience of life and our own feelings and other people's experience. And um, so much more wholeness on the other side of that. And I think that for the man who's really scared of his partner or wife's feelings and isn't feels overwhelmed, he doesn't realize that what he wants is within that, is within meeting and being with her. He will get that fullness of connection that he's craving, that he thinks he can get by her being nice and only happy all the time. But that's not real.
It's not real.
Yeah.
So you touched on how it if he can meet her, if he is willing to engage, show up for real intimacy, that is not only for her but also for his own healing. And the tricky part is the willingness that he has to bring some level of motivation, true motivation for it to shift, and some curiosity about himself and why this is such a struggle for him.
I think in your question of like, can it be developed? I think that it's developed by him learning to tolerate his own discomfort and pain, his own emotional pain, which includes acknowledging that he has pain and being witnessed and seen in that. Therapy is a great place for that.
So for him to just recognize, yeah, maybe I struggle with feeling discomfort. Oh, yeah. When I feel the demand of something or someone, I get so overwhelmed really easily. I get stressed out really easily. For some reason, when my partner has a need, that overwhelms me. This is a pattern for me that I can't seem to show up in this way, even though it sounds like a really basic thing. And so bringing that curiosity piece, which is also leans into that self-awareness piece. And then with that desire to shift it, starting small with distress tolerance, or building that tolerance for uncomfortable things. And depending on the person, that could be driving in the car on a hot day and feeling your body warm and feeling yourself maybe even start to sweat and not turning on the AC.
Mm.
Just allowing yourself to feel uncomfortable with the temperature.
Uh-huh.
Or step 1 could be simply practicing noticing feelings.
Uh-huh.
Like, "Oh, shit, I feel so overwhelmed right now, and I'm not gonna go for a run. I'm not gonna turn on the TV. I'm not gonna phone a friend. I'm just gonna stand here or sit here and feel overwhelmed. I'm just gonna notice what that feels like."
Uh-huh.
And then he's experiencing, hopefully, he rides the wave, and after 90 seconds or 3 minutes or however long it takes, the feeling starts to fade. "Oh, I'm okay." And
Uh-huh.
so finding these baby steps to start to build that tolerance, which will lead him to the bigger stuff, like, "Okay, let's have that tough conversation."
Mm.
Or, "Okay, you know what? She told me this is what she needs. She told me this is what she likes. I'm gonna do that today."
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, the more that he can show up for himself and expand his capacity for himself and his frustration tolerance, his pain tolerance, his emotional pain tolerance, and learn, oh, I can still be safe. I'm going to survive this. I survived that. Then, yeah, he can show up more fully for life, his wife, his family, and live in more connection versus survival, right? Because his nervous system is in survival. And so I love that, those moments of pause, regulation, really. It's like regulation in where he would usually get dysregulated. And so that pause, I like to think of the hand on the heart too, like the breath. It's like, okay, I'm here. I'm recognizing I'm getting overwhelmed. I recognize that I'm really uncomfortable with this heat in the car. What's coming up for me? What kind of thoughts am I having? And that attunement and that expansion in those micro moments, just like you said, in those micro moments are actually really big. They're transformative because it rewires the brain and the nervous system to be like, I can, I did, I'm breathing my breath in my expansion into this where I thought I couldn't. And, we're talking about the wife's needs, but really it's the man's confidence as well. It's his ability to feel the fullness and range of himself and in his life force and his capacity in life, which will serve him greatly.
Yeah, in all areas of life, even at work. The things
Mhm.
that maybe are overwhelming to his system today will become less overwhelming. He'll just have this capacity for all of life to hold so much more
Mhm.
with more flexibility, more capacity.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So get that capacity, men. We love that for you. We love that for us too.
Yeah. And I does it feel important to say that she can't force that? Like, she has to be able to recognize
Yeah.
the capacity that is there.
Mhm.
"Oh, this isn't me being crazy and high maintenance.
Yeah.
This is his capacity.
Mhm.
This is where he's at. This is all he's capable of right now in this current state because of who knows, childhood, he didn't develop that capacity. And this is how for her to look at herself, this is how I need to step back and stop um, maybe enabling the low capacity or filling the gap
Mhm.
and maybe caretaking
Mhm.
or self-denying, self-abandoning,
Mhm.
and just acknowledge what is and let him take ownership of that. And he has to want to develop his own capacity.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, don't pick him up, let him rise. And as a woman, it's your job to recognize and claim yourself and your needs and your desire for connection, and to assess whether he wants to develop his capacity. And kind of back to the beginning of how this started, a well meaning man could really want to and maybe really cares a lot, but then also doesn't take steps. So, assessing yourself and your capacity to be next to him while maybe not having your needs met. Maybe you've got more patience, maybe you've got um, more love you can offer, but not to step into the role of over functioning to meet him where he can't meet, and let him rise and let him grow into the fullness of himself. Invite him, and whether he takes that invitation or not is not up to you.
Okay, I hope this discussion was helpful. I find this so fascinating. We will definitely link the reel below that ignited this conversation
Yeah,
and let us know in the comments below or send us an email if any thoughts came up for you, if you have any experience with a low capacity partner. And yeah, we'd love to hear.
absolutely.